الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Still a bit early for some people. Okay. Well, you better wake up because you can't sleep at Hajj. Inshallah, the purpose of today is not to be anything formal. It's quite informal, just going through the basic mechanisms of Hajj, because if you want to do a proper fiqh seminar, you probably need a whole day. There's a lot that we can talk about Hajj. There's obviously the preparation, the mental, spiritual preparation. There's the law side of it, the fiqh, the jurisprudence. And then there's also the practical aspects for anyone who's been on Hajj recently. Will know just the vast numbers of people. The time, obviously, every year it's changing. Now we're coming to the summer months. It was very hot last year. And just the practicalities. A lot of the times when you study fiqh, jurisprudence, the theory of Hajj seems quite straightforward. When you get there, it's a different matter. And I was actually speaking to one of my teachers recently who's been taking groups for a number of years, and he was just saying that you need to have a wide understanding of the jurisprudence across all the schools, because you're going to be in situations where you have to try and find a solution for the situation you're in, which is why it's quite important, I think anyway, to go with a group that's got a scholar with them, because trust me, you will have questions when you're there. Okay, so the first thing to take note of is that you are the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the things I usually mention one of the first things I'll mention when I'm with the group is that not everyone has got the chance to come to Hajj this year. So out of the 1.6 billion Muslims, 2-3 million, which is nothing really, has been selected, and alhamdulillah, you're part of that small number. So it's to put things into perspective, that you understand the honour that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon you, the favour He's bestowed upon you, and that He's allowed you to reach His house and to do Hajj this particular year. So obviously Hajj is mentioned in the Quran. There's lots of things we could say if we wanted to do tafsir, but basically there's no obscene language or in behaviour or argumentation. So these are things in terms of, from an akhlaq point of view, from a behavioural point of view, that we have to keep in mind. And trust me, your patience will be tested. Your patience will definitely be tested. But what you have to remember is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting you in that situation for a reason. So everything that's going to happen to you in Hajj is coming from God. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting you through that for a reason. So one of the things you get people is, they start complaining about this or that. You can complain as much as you want, but what you've missed the point that it's not supposed to be easy. Even if you're going on a 5-star package, right? It's not like a 5-star holiday, because things, even your whatever group you go with, they might have the best intentions, but they're not in control of the situation. It's not even that Saudi's in control of the situation; it's Allah that's in control of the situation, and He, for whatever wisdom, is going to put you through whatever He's going to put you through on an individual and a group basis. So keep that in mind. And so really it's remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a chance for us to get away from our reality in the UK or whatever other country we're from. You're leaving behind your family, you're leaving behind your business, all your concerns of the world, and you have only one focus when you're there, which is you and God. That is it, you and God. It's your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Imam Ghazali actually says that on the day of Arafah, when you're there and everyone's there, it's almost like a mirror image of in the hereafter, when everyone will be brought forth to be held accountable to God. So in a sense, you're playing out that same kind of mirror image. So this is really what it is. It's a journey. It's your own journey between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, over and above every other relationship that you have in this world. So obviously whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Now, most people, what happens is they will do umrah and hajj. So umrah is sometimes called the lesser pilgrimage. It's like say a mini version because it has some of the same arkan or pillars of the hajj. And some of us have probably done umrah. How many people have done umrah here? Okay, who's not done umrah? Who's not done hajj? Okay, a lot of people have not done hajj. Okay, and even if you did do hajj 10 years ago, trust me, it's very different now. So what happens is there's three ways of doing hajj. Okay, you can do hajj only, so that's called ifrad. So that means you come to Makkah and you're going to be in a state of ihram until you finish your hajj, and that's some schools prefer that, like the Maliki school. Then you have what's called qiran, which means that you're going to do umrah and hajj, but in one state of ihram. So basically, you put on your ihram, you go there, you do umrah, and you stay in a state of ihram all the way through hajj, and that's the hardest type to do. By far the most common, and nearly everyone will probably do this, is called tamattu'. And tamattu' is basically when you do umrah and hajj, but you're going to separate your ihrams. What I mean by that is, you will go and do umrah from here, just like you've done umrah. You come out of ihram, and that's it. You just remain in Makkah in your normal clothes. You can do everything you want to do. And then on the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, you put on a new ihram. And this will be now the ihram of hajj. Right? So the difference between tamattu' and qiran is that in qiran you stay in the ihram all the way through. In tamattu' you come out of it after doing umrah, and then you're going to put another ihram on for the hajj. So most people will do that. So most groups, they will encourage you going from here, especially if it's quite a few days before hajj. You go do umrah and then come out of ihram, relax, get acclimatized, get ready for hajj, probably have some maybe seminars, get used to Makkah, and then on the 8th, that's it, from the 8th until the 12th or the 13th are the main days of hajj, and then usually after that you will go to Medina. So ihram, what is ihram now? A lot of people think ihram are the sheets. Ihram are not the sheets. Ihram is a state that you're in, and sometimes they talk about the takbiratul ihram. So when you say Allahu Akbar in salah, is there anything changed about me? My clothes up? No, nothing's changed. But when I say Allahu Akbar, right, I'm going into, basically, it's called takbiratul ihram because certain things become haram on you. So before salah, I could speak. Before salah, I could eat and drink. As soon as I say takbir Allahu Akbar, I can't speak to anyone, I can't eat and drink anything, right? So there's certain restrictions on me. Think of the ihram as the same thing. When you put your ihram on, certain things become forbidden to you, okay? Which we'll talk about in a minute. So you go into a state of ihram. Now, because it's not the sheets, this is quite important because from a practical perspective, if you're getting a flight, so last year we got a flight from Manchester and I went all the way to Jeddah. Unless you want to, a whole group of you, 40 people trying to change it ihram in the plane's toilets, which you have to be reasonably small to do that easily. What you can do is put your ihram on, okay, or put some of the sheets on, for example, underneath, because that's not the ihram, that's just sheets. And then when you get close to what's called the miqat, or the place where you have to be in a state of ihram, which is about, to be honest, only about 20 minutes before you land in Jeddah airport. At that point, and they usually announce it on the plane anyway, at that point you would then, okay, take off maybe your thawb or something, put on the top sheet. This is obviously all for men. And then you would make your intention, and then you do the talbiyah, Allahumma labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. It's only when you do these two things that you go into ihram, okay? So that's an important point, because someone, I got a question last year, they went to the airport, put the ihram on, and then the flight got cancelled. You see? So you don't know what's going to happen, and therefore you do not want to go into ihram until you really have to. And obviously the prohibitions, the longer you're in ihram, the more prohibitions, the longer the prohibitions are going to be. Okay, so bear that in mind. So again, if your flight is, for example, going to Istanbul and then you're stopping there, that's fine. When you get to Istanbul, most people put their sheets on there, that's fine. So that's for something you to work out yourself. Then you get to the haram, and the first thing you do is probably go to your hotels, put your luggage in. You might have something to eat. People will decide when to do it. The umrah, usually people do it straight away, some people do it later because they're tired. And you will go to the haram, you do the tawaf, 7 circuits, and then you will pray 2 rak'ahs, which are wajib, to pray after every tawaf. In Maqam Ibrahim, a lot of people think it has to be where the Maqam Ibrahim is near the Kaaba. The 2 rak'ahs can be prayed anywhere in the haram. Okay, so don't be a nuisance and get stop in the path of people doing tawaf. Go behind and don't take a selfie. Right? You'll see people doing all sorts of things, making videos, FaceTiming. You'll see bizarre things happening. Just focus on yourself. Don't get distracted. And just if you can't find space, go somewhere in the haram. Pray 2 rak'ahs. After that, you drink zamzam. And zamzam is one of the things you should drink as much as you can whilst you're there. And you only get, I think, 5 litres or something when you come back. So you can drink as much whilst you're there. And there's a hadith, zamzam lima shuribala. Zamzam is for the intention you drink it with or for, which means that whatever intention you make whilst drinking the zamzam, you will be granted that. So if you, for example, I say that you take 1 sip, make the intention of good health. Take another sip, for example, protection of your iman. Take another sip, for example, you're finding it difficult married. Ya Allah, make it easy for me to get married. So with every sip, make a dua. And this is one of the few times that we drink water standing. Every time you look at the Kaaba, it's an act of worship. So, when you're drinking zamzam, by all means, look at the Kaaba. As much as you can look at the Kaaba, do it. Even if you're not, sometimes you can't keep praying or doing dhikr or Quran, you get tired. Just sit and look at the Kaaba. Just sitting and looking at the Kaaba is an act of worship. And what I encourage people is to look at it and try to almost imprint it in your mind, so that when you come back to your cities and you say Allahu Akbar, it'll be different from when you used to say Allahu Akbar before, because you can try to visualize the Kaaba in front of you. And then you do the Safa Marwa, the Sa'i. So there's signposted. You go to Safa, and from Safa to Marwa is 1. From Marwa back to Safa is 1. So you start Safa and you finish at Marwa. And this is obviously where Hajar, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, she did this so long ago. She was sustenance for her child Ismail alayhi salam. And when she looked back, she saw that Zamzam, this is where Zamzam comes from. Zamzam was coming out from his feet. Okay, so then you shave or trim. Obviously, shaving is only for men. Women are not allowed to shave their heads, right? Even if it's fashionable. Or you can trim. So if you're shaving, that's quite clear what it is. Trimming, the minimum, again, the schools differ on this. The Shafi school, for example, just says a few hairs. The Malikis and Hanbali say the entire head. The Hanafis say a quarter of the head. So if you're trimming, you should take, at least, maybe like an inch all around your head. This is for men. If it's for women, then they would, if they got long hair, they would basically get the end of the hair and cut a quarter. Now it's very important, especially for women, that it's a quarter of your entire hair, because you have different lengths. Right? I'm not an expert in female hair, but from my understanding, there'll be different lengths. So you may only actually cut a small amount of your actual hair, because at the end it's just the longest hairs, but the shortest hair that you've missed. So you should actually cut a little bit more. Okay, you can have a haircut when you come back to your own city anyway. Okay, so that's the Umrah, and then once you've come out of Umrah, that's it. Khalas, you can put on your clothes, you can have a shower, you can use scent. All the things which were not allowed are now permissible for you, and you just spend your time in the Haram, Okay, so that's a bit about the ihram. So main things is intention, garments. So that's for males. For females, there's no restriction apart from they shouldn't cover their face. Whereas for men, it's any stitched garments, and also footwear is important, which I'll come to in a minute.